Well, hello everybody. Week 2 of Preptober is here. Who's excited? Raise your hands. Well, if you are new to this channel, welcome. If you've seen our majestic faces before, welcome back. Today, Emily, our social media manager, and Mackenzie Finkley, our project development specialist, are joining me for yet another interview with yet another star author, Brittany Bowman, and another set of writing sprints. Because our main purpose during Preptober is to help you finish your and our writing projects. And this year we are doing it well with NaNoWriMo. We don't want to brag, but that's what we're doing. And as you might have caught, not yesterday, what am I saying, last week, we are official sponsors for Nano this year, on the hunt for hungry writers and authors who would like to see their books published. And our new imprint, Manuscripts Press, has been created for the sole purpose of supporting fiction authors, equipping them with all the necessary tools they need to publish. And on that note, Mackenzie, I've talked to a lot of authors these past few weeks, and it turns out that the word imprint is a little scary to them, and to me as well, like, frankly. So, you, as one of the point people behind the imprints in our publishing house, can you please tell us, in your own words, as vernacular as you possibly can, what an imprint is?
An imprint, it's not a scary word. It's just a fancy publishing term for a brand. So an imprint is different branches of the same publishing house. So if we're talking traditional publishing, you think maybe Penguin Random House. You've got Penguin Classics, you've got Penguin Children's, you've got Penguin, this, that, and the other list goes on. And a lot of the major publishing houses have hundreds of imprints so that they can get as specific and narrowed down for the groups of books that they publish as possible. So helps with marketing, helps with aligning all the people who are working on the books. So for example, a lot of in these major publishing houses that have big teams, they'll have historical fiction teams where you have editorial assistants that are just for historical fiction, just for, and it's all under this one imprint that only does historical fiction. So it's kind of a synergy thing. But more than anything, it's just a brand.
Right. So we are not breaking any new ground here. We are not pioneers. This is what traditional publishers do as well, what have been doing. So we are just basically trying to, because one size doesn't fit all. We are trying to help as many people as we can tender to their needs. And Emily, you as our social media manager, dealing with creating a distinct feel and style to what each particular imprint needs. Why do you think that differentiating between genres in literature is so important for marketing and for social media?
Well, each genre is served in a different way, and each reader has something different that captures their eye in association with those genres. So the colors might be different, the fonts might be different. You're going to sort of market and display or pitch to readers fiction a lot different than you're going to pitch to readers a nonfiction book. So it's just finding the right combinations of those things to draw the right readers.
Right. Well, I mean, you heard it, folks. Nothing scary about it. It's just differentiating between brands so that as many people, as many authors can be served to the best of our abilities. Well, thank you both for giving your professional opinions. I mean, now, after all these insights, I feel much more comfortable interviewing an actual author. So, without further ado, let me welcome Brittany Bowman, everybody, the author of Underwater, the Aurora Chronicles. Brittany, girl, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on here.
Yes, it is wonderful to have you. So, Brittany, from what I understand, this is not your first rodeo with NaNoWriMo, is it?
No, it's not. I have picked up this manuscript multiple times and set it down multiple times, but I have worked with NaNoWriMo over the past couple of years trying to get this manuscript done or changing things or what have you. So Yeah, it's not my first rodeo.
Right. So right. So you are an independent author, correct?
Mhm. Yep.
You love indie publishing. Otherwise, I don't think that you would you would even consider becoming an independent author. Is that fair to say?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right. So, in that spirit, tell us about your journey with publishing your first book as an independent author. We want to hear it all. What your book is about, how it came to be, the decisions behind it. Tell us everything. We are hungry
All right.
for it.
All right. So I actually started this book in 2012, and it's taken on multiple different. It's changed in multiple ways since then. But yeah, I did this at a time where I was going through a lot of hardships, and so I needed a way to escape. And so I thought, you know what? Let's try writing. I love reading. Let's try writing. And so that's kind of where this story ballooned out of, whatnot. But yeah, I decided to self-publish because I wanted full, creative control. And from those that I had talked to, either done traditional publishing or, just read some stuff that somebody had written about it, you do lose a lot of your creative control when you traditionally publish. Now, I don't experience traditionally publishing. I'm all self-publishing. That's all I've learned. So taught myself self-taught. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I came to here. The book is a dark fantasy novel, and it just it's about a girl named Aurora, and she is dealing with depression. She's dealing with just trying to find her way in life. Her parents and her oldest brother Tanner had passed, and as she's going through the motions, she stumbles across this, deadly double life that they're living in another world, and it's full of political strife and ancient war, magic, and she finds out she's royalty in this world, and has to, everything that her parents and her brother Tanner were basically working on in this world is now on her shoulders and her brother's shoulders, and so now they have.
She didn't know.
What is that? I'm sorry.
She didn't know. Like it was her life was a lie.
Yeah, it was basically all a lie, and so yeah, she stumbled into this and found it all out, and it just follows her journey in that. So
right. Well, it just sounds, I'm trying to think what this reminds me of, because like it's ringing a bell, but I can't think of Jupiter Ascending, maybe. Mackenzie, what does this remind you of?
Honestly, it was kind of starting to remind me of S.D. Howard's book.
Oh, yes. Oh my God, you're absolutely right. S.D. Howard, he's an author, award-winning author of fantasy. He was our colleague here, loved dearly and missed dearly. And
I think you'd really enjoy his book, The City of Snow and Stars.
I would say yes, I would agree. Emily, what does this remind you of? Like this meets what?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
No,
that's part of the pitch, right? That's the thing we have to figure out as authors is like, what's our marketing pitch? That's like one of the big ones too with traditional publishing. They're like, it's Great Gatsby meets, what's that movie with Sandra Bullock? That very fall, the witchy movie.
Oh my God. Practical Magic?
Practical Magic, thank you. Yeah. I read one recently that was like Great Gatsby meets Practical Magic, and I was like, sign
what are our comp titles?
That is absolutely the hustle to figure out like what the marketing is. But yeah, it's just, you were describing your book to me, Brittany, and I was like, what does this, you know what I mean? Like that feeling when you can't figure out what this reminds you of. But no, absolutely. I do have a follow-up question though before we jump onto another. Where do you get your inspiration? Because obviously what you've described to me, it feels like a very character-driven book.
Yeah, everything that I've ever written, because I've written stuff that I haven't published, and it's always all been character-driven. So a lot of my work is character-driven. So I pull from either, life experiences or, I could be scrolling Pinterest and I see an image that somebody's created. I'm like, oh, all of a sudden the story clicks in my mind, or I hear a musical lyric and I'm just like, oh, wow. And then my mind just travels in different places. So I get it from multiple sources, whether it's, pulling from real life or, what I just said.
Right. Well, ladies, before we jump to another question, any follow-up questions for Brittany?
No, I'm ready for my question because I
Go
feel like
ahead.
she was starting to get at my question earlier.
Yes,
And so
absolutely.
you mentioned like you don't have a great deal of experience with traditional publishing, but it sounds like you do still have some opinions. I'd love for you to expand upon that.
Yeah. So, you know,
What's the tea, basically? The tea. We want tea.
Yeah, so basically, my whole thing was, it was more of a personal experience, or personal preference, I should say, where I wanted to hold on to all creative control. You know, I didn't want to relinquish all that creative control. And so I started looking into the, you know, traditional publishing versus self-publishing and pros and cons. And I'm very much of a pro-con type of person. And I started watching Bethany Adazada on YouTube. And she's a self-published author. Yeah, Bethany Adazada. Yeah. And so I've learned a lot from her, and I've learned a lot from other self-published artists and or authors. And so I just chose to go this route. As far as traditional publishing, I have nothing wrong with traditional publishing whatsoever. If I found a traditional publishing house where we can meet eye to eye, I would have no problem transitioning that. But you know, as of right now, I'm all self-taught when it comes to self-publishing, and I've really enjoyed the journey of seeing it from start to finish. So I've just chosen to stay with self-publishing at this point.
Do you choose your team? I'm sorry, Mackenzie, go ahead.
I was just saying, yeah, absolutely. I understand. Like it's all in the agreement and the understanding. Some authors have better experiences with big traditional publishing houses than others, but I think as long as you're aware of what you're getting yourself into and you pay attention to the agreements that are presented in front of you, you'll be fine. Traditional publishing, there's not a whole lot wrong. Like it's, you know, it's fine.
Yeah, definitely. And I always said, if I were to go with a traditional publishing house, I want to go with a small traditional publishing house. You know, somebody who, you know, I'm not going to get lost in the noise of them and all the other authors that they have. You know, so
absolutely.
I was gonna ask you, because it feels like in this industry in particular, it's either this or that. You know, it's just feels very binary and very limited, and especially in this day and age, I don't think it needs to be. I mean, we are a great example of, we are an independent press. We're somewhere in the middle. You know what I mean? And it's just, this debate has kind of, I'm gonna be very honest, it's kind of always bothered me. Like when someone it almost feels like someone traps you between a rock and a hard place. Like you can't really, and it's just not the case. So yeah, thank you so much for elaborating on that. I did have a follow-up question. How do you choose the team that helps you put your book together?
Oh, it's been a lot of research, you know, talking to people and seeing what they're about. Definitely specifically finding people that are used to working in the genre that I want to be in, because they already understand the elements that go into that genre. So it's just been a lot of research and talking to people and seeing what works and what fits. So like my cover designer, Fran with Cover Dungeon Rabbit, I searched for so many different people till I stumbled across her, and I'm so happy that I did. She's absolutely amazing. You know, and then Jennifer Rochford with Curly Tails Editing. I think that's how her company name is. She's phenomenal. I absolutely love her. She's her feedback was great, and you can tell she had such great intentions with everything she said, and she was very genuine, and she wasn't afraid to tell you where you were wrong, where you were right, and what you needed to fix. And that's what I want, and that's what I need. You know, so it's really just finding and doing the research on those people and seeing how they work, and really it's just trial and error, to be honest. At this point too. I mean,
so you don't have an ego, like when editors get back to you and are like, "Oh, this is garbage," you're like,
oh, yeah.
You don't get defensive. Because listen, no judgment. I do. Yeah. I'm defensive.
Yeah. You know, I try to check my ego at the door. I try not to be defensive, because I realize I'm in a field where there's so much to learn. And I can't know everything, especially just coming into this. So I'm open, like I'm an open, all ears type of person, where if you have something constructively to tell me, I'm going to take that in and see if I can make that my own and see how I can fix it for, myself to make not only myself better, but my writing better, everything better. So I try to check the ego at the door.
That's wonderful to hear. And I think this is a great segue to Emily's question about community. So go ahead, Emily.
Yeah. So as like authors, we all know that like readers are really at like the crux of what we do. If we wrote books and didn't have readers, there would kind of be no point.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious, in your opinion, like what has been some of your favorite ways to connect with and then grow your audience?
Yeah, so I'm finding a lot of the indie authors that I've been connecting with. I mean, they're also readers too. So on Instagram, I've really just worked on building genuine connection, because I think that's really what community is about, is just finding those people that love the genre that you're in, who's maybe also in the same journey that you're in, who has an understanding of that journey. And so I've really worked on just cultivating those relationships genuinely being interested in what do you have going on? What are your books? What are, projects do you have? And really sharing that with the world, because I feel like the biggest thing is exposure for us. And so when I can go ahead and do that for, I guess I'm saying in the sense of like the indie authors that I always say that they're my Instagram friends. I really try to cultivate that relationship so that, they are going to turn around and also share my book, with their readership and their friends and family, or who not, if they love the book, And so I think it's a really great thing to have that kind of community that can just come together and support each other, not be competitive with each other, and just share that. So that's really just one major way. Yeah, and I think just sharing as much of your book and your story as you possibly can without giving everything away. If you're interested in, and then you can really work with people on that and talk to people. I think it's just communication. That's the biggest thing when it comes to building that community and that readership. So.
Honestly, I totally agree with you. I mean, one of the main reasons that I found you and I wanted to connect with you was because you were so open about working on a new NaNoWriMo with NaNoWriMo on a new project. And it's just that kind of openness. It leaves you vulnerable, but it leaves you also incredibly exposed in all the best ways to find all the right people that you need in your life to finish your book. Because I mean, listen, I've been very lucky to find a community to write with my debut novel, but I've heard that writing is actually a lonely process. What do you think about that?
I think it can be, definitely. Not only the act itself, we're sitting in our offices for hours on end, just typing away. But also when it comes to, getting negative feedback or not getting any feedback at all, it's, it can be very lonely, and you get stuck in your head, and that imposter syndrome just rears its ugly head, and you know what I mean? So it's like, if you don't have a community to fall back upon and share your experiences with, it's extremely lonely.
So that's why you've chosen to go with NaNoWriMo this year as well to finish the Aurora Chronicles, correct?
Yes. Well, yeah, because I have this second book out now, or working on it now. Getting that outline going, and so I figured.
I have my eye on you. Listen, I know what you're doing.
So so I figured, what, let's do NaNoWriMo again this year, because community it's huge to me, So it's like, going with that NaNoWriMo community, it's been great for me in the past, and I know it's going to be amazing for me in the future. So keep doing what's working,
I love that, and I'm so lucky that we get to share that with you this year as well, and write with NaNoWriMo and be the support that NaNoWriMo needs to further support their authors. So I'm really happy about that. Yeah. Ladies, any final questions, confessions that you have for Brittany or Brittany? Any final thoughts?
I must confess that you are a very fun person to chat with, Brittany.
Yes. Thank you.
I do actually have a follow-up continuing off of my last question. If you
okay, go ahead, Emily.
But there are like so many social media platforms out there right now that authors can be on. I'm curious for you, is there sort of one in particular that you feel like you've really sort of found your niche with, or one that you would sort of recommend to authors over another?
I would definitely have to say Instagram is my jam. I'm always on there. Is it? Yeah. See, I understand the platform so well, and I feel like there it's so easy to communicate in multiple ways. So I found that to be the most successful. The next one I'd have to say I just got started with it, so I'm not 100% with it, but is TikTok. There's a great, readership there. There's a great indie author community there. So I'm just tapping into
right?
that now. What's that?
Book Talk, right?
Oh, Book Talk. Yeah, exactly. So I'm just tapping into that, and that's been pretty fun to tap into. So, but Instagram's my main place.
Anytime anyone mentions Book Talk, all I see is that hilarious video of Mackenzie just pushing the ladder on her book and that gathering like
Classic.
20,000 views or something. It was fun.
It's the ones that you work the least hard on that get the most views.
Yeah,
I always think in regards to Mackenzie of the Library of Alexandria one, just staring.
Oh yeah,
it's perfect.
That one is perfect as well. Well, yeah, I guess final words of wisdom, Brittany, before we relinquish you to your day. Because it's still, I mean, what, like 4 p.m. where you are?
Yeah, 3:22, actually.
There you go.
So, yeah, I would just say, if you're passionate about writing, don't let anybody deter you from it. Always just, stick with what you're passionate about. Don't listen to negativity. Don't listen to, people who aren't going to support you, because there's going to be people out there who will and who will love your work. And they are the ones to write for at the end of the day. So that's my words of wisdom.
Word. Yeah, the encouragement is important. The encouragement is super important. Well, Brittany, what can I say other than you're an absolute pleasure to interview. You seem like a truly wonderful person. I couldn't have been more honored to interview you. And you guys, if you want to connect with Brittany, her social media handles and her website will be linked in the description under the video once the stream has been completed. For now, please, Brittany, if you have time to join us for the writing sprint in the chat, please do. If not, it's been an absolute pleasure, and we hope to see you stay around, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you
for your time, Brittany.
Thank you, Brittany.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate everything.
Well,
She's so sweet too. Simona, you are a rock star with these guests.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh,
These are
that's
fun.
so sweet. That is so sweet. Well, you guys, first of all, I cannot thank Brittany enough. I think that I will be thanking her for the rest of the week in my emails. It's just been an absolute pleasure. But we are here to get some work done. I mean, is it fun? I don't know. The first drafts are not usually that fun. They are rough, to say the least. But Preptober is called Preptober for a reason. We are preparing for NaNoWriMo, for the National Novel Writing Month, for the real thing. And therefore, we are going to do 2 writing sprints divided by 10 minutes, essentially. So, Emily, what are you working on today?
I'm continuing with the 3rd book in my high fantasy series. I am trying to complete it by the end of October, and I'm about halfway through, because then I want to switch gears when we actually get into NaNoWriMo and work on something completely different and send this one off to an editor. So we will see how that goes, but that is sort of my game plan right now.
I love that. Absolutely love that. Mackenzie.
Girl, you know, I'm still working on the Artifact Hunter. Last week I was working on kind of this plot twisty part, but this week
Right.
I'm kind of working on the end. So the goal, much like Emily, is to finish this book by the end of October. And so far we're on track.
Oh, yay.
And then we're going to get it off to an editor next month. Very exciting.
Oh, that is so exciting. I mean, yeah, I remember you couldn't read the rest of the chapter because there was that plot twist. So
yeah,
Yep.
you left us hanging.
Yeah,
I know. And you know, you're going to have a little bit of that today too, because I can't read you the end.
That
I
is-
can read you little pieces, you know what I mean?
Oh, that just sucks. Anyway, let's get into it. Writing sprint number 1. I'm watching the clock. 10 minutes. Let's go. Damn, it's getting dark. I gotta go turn on the lights. Hang on a minute here. I'll be right back. There we go. What did I miss? Where's Mackenzie? You cheater.
When I'm typing, when I
You're-
type,
you're not
it does
typing.
this.
Stop cheating. You are not typing.
The hardest part about reaching the end is you're like, what character? What did I name that character again? That really minor one that comes back again later.
That's real. Especially in a series.
Especially when you are trying to be clever and like foreshadow something in chapter 2 and then you like completely forget about it. And like you forget to bring that element back around. And it's just so like this weird J.J. Abrams type mystery box that never gets resolved. And it's I mean, first draft, what can I say?
I know, I had to like make a book Bible to keep everything straight.
You know what? That's a good idea.
Highly recommend
Okay.
if you've got sort of a lot going on and a lot of characters and like different plot threads to follow.
That's a good idea. I'm going to start doing that. Thank you, Emily.
I know, I'm like going and hunting for my character document. Where I put that?
Oh my God. Can I just say that I feel inferior? Because like last we were reading like excerpts and you guys are such good writers. It's like, it's a little embarrassing.
Stop, Simona. Yours was fantastic.
Thank you.
There it is.
What's going on? You okay?
I was trying to find a piece to read to you guys whenever the time comes, because right now what I'm kind of working on is outlining a chapter, and that's not
Right,
super
right.
interesting. And
Right.
the section I came across is just kind of funny.
Okay. We want to read funny.
Yeah.
Because
That's
mine is kind of somber. Mine is like, I'm not going to lie, it's a depression fest. So we're going to need something funny to balance it out.
I got you.
And mine's sort of in between, so that's perfect. We got
That
all
is
ends of the
perfect.
spectrum.
That is perfect. We have 3 more minutes to go. All right. Pens up, hands up. Baby, hands up. Anyway. So, what should we start with? Should we start with my depression fest and then end on a good note with Mackenzie's funny little paragraph? I think that would be a good way to start.
Sounds like a
Sounds
plan.
good.
That sounds like a plan. Now listen, again, I'm working on another submission for a literary journal. And their ask was very specific. I'm not gonna lie, like I struggled a lot with this one because the ask was something very personal that reads like a personal essay, but also resembles a poem, but doesn't actually rhyme. And I'm like, sure, sure. So
Like a rupee car kind of situation.
exactly. And I'm
Oh,
like,
good
listen,
comparison.
this is not like I love writing somber things. It is in my very soul. I love that. But it's not my kind of thing, but I wanted to give it a try. So let's hear it. I have 550 words. So the essay is called A Letter to a Beloved Grandmother. So let's hear it. Every morning, I wake up not recognizing the room I'm in. In the past few years, I have changed several homes, as you know. I wish to tell you that I have found my little corner of the world, my piece of the sky, my comfy bed. You need to be more patient with me, though. And as I look around, while the neon rays of September sun are burning my retina, I am seeking the warmth of your aura, the kindness of your heart, the infinite understanding, the unbounded love you have once provided, the love you were teaching. The truth is, I have lost my faith in angels. I have lost my faith in God, and I have lost the faith in the good. Everything that is left to me is mirages of yellow discs moving in my pupils when I wake up to a new morning. And after the first fleeting moments, the heat of the sharp light fades away. I am slowly moving to the bathroom. I remember how you insisted on washing my face in cold water every morning and not forgetting the ears. In a dusty mirror full of toothpaste traces, I see the silhouette of a woman you would not be proud of. I reflect my own incompetence. I am the projection of hidden concerns, the prisoner of my own deceptions. Mirrors have always reminded me that my reality is just what I consider to be a reality. Maybe that is why I've always hated the truth, and yet I've been searching for it unconsciously my whole life. I wonder how to go about my day. You only have this one day. You need not be here tomorrow. Actually, there are no tomorrows. Is it not how you used to formulate your daily mantra? Although now we communicate only in writing, I can still recall your voice clearly. They say it's the voice you forget first. How does that sound?
Goosebumps.
Really?
It's okay. Like, it's sad, but, and maybe this is just me, like, reading into things, but I also feel like there's like hope and like nostalgia scattered in there too, because there's a lot of like there's a warmth to the tone and a warmth to a lot of like the images that you're giving us.
Yeah, it reads more contemplative than sad to me.
Okay. I like it. So should I be ashamed of myself, basically?
No.
I'm being a little
I like it.
Here.
It's very like intellectual, profound, like it's very literary.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much. I love that. Well, we've gotten through that. Thank God. Who's next? So should we go with you said, Emily, you have something in between happy and depressing.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
So we're a little bit farther down from like where I left off last week. So
okay.
You weren't here. It doesn't matter.
You were describing, just a reminder, viewers, you were describing the lineage of the grandmothers and the grandfathers and the Scotland and all that wonderful weather that's over there.
Yeah. So Adelaide and all my characters that were there were in the library. They're still in the library, but now like her and Teo are off somewhere.
Right.
Oh boy. Oh no.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Here we are, Teo said, snapping Adelaide from her thoughts. They were near one of the library's far walls, deep in the recesses of the building. Tomes of classics with thick spines and gilded pages filled the shelves around a small couch and glass display case. It was quiet here, the kind of quiet she used to experience on her parents' porch in the morning hours of a crisp fall day, surrounded by the mountains and trees with painted leaves. She pulled a book from the shelf and flipped through the pages, breathing in the comforting scent of vanilla-aged paper before slipping it back in place. Adelaide wasn't quite sure what they were doing back here, but she didn't mind the feeling this place gave her. It made her feel alone. Not the lonely kind of alone, but the comforting, content kind that came from knowing yourself and finding your own little pockets of solitude among the noise. Libraries, to her, had always felt like an in-between place, like a train station or airport. They seemed to exist on a plane where time stilled and possibilities were limitless, where the world you returned to was different from the world you had left behind when you entered, and sometimes so were you. Sitting in a library surrounded by books that led to thousands of different worlds seemed like the closest humans would ever come to magic.
Aww.
Damn.
Damn. That is
Damn.
That is really good. You know what? I love, and maybe this is because I am acquainted now with your writing and with your book and with Adelaide's character, but I just love her. I love being in her head. You know what I mean? And I think I mentioned this before, but like the the main problem that I have with the Twilight series, surprisingly, is that being in Bella's head is just really depressing. Like, you know what I mean? So that's the main problem for me. Yes, I know there's a lot of toxic stuff, but again, we need to focus on the fact that when you write from the first point of view and you being with that character that whole journey, they need to be at least somewhat likable. And what I love
Yeah.
about your writing, Emily, is that the people there are so likable and you make them so likable.
I'm still obsessing over the adjectives. Like I was just sitting there and I'm like, damn, I feel so cozy. And also I really liked I don't know, just the thick spines and slip back on the shelf and just like the way you could almost like kind of hear the activity, even in its quietness. I don't know.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, well, thank you so much, Emily. All right, Mackenzie, let's hear your stand up.
Okay, so pivot to nonsense. It's not stand up. It's not that funny. So this is a little bit down from the kickoff to chapter 11. So we're in 200 years ago New York, and obviously our main character is from the present, so she's a little tripped out. So she says, we had ordered a cab from the museum, which in 1881 was a horse-drawn carriage that looked nothing like the ones I'd seen in Central Park. Riding in a carriage in 1881 was different in subtle ways. The rhythmic clopping of the horses' shoes on the street was softer because the roads weren't paved. The coachman was dressed far better, in a top hat no less, and we were temporarily protected from the stench of horse ass and street manure in the comfort of an enclosed carriage.
Okay, I see your point now. No, but I love it.
I don't know. She just like she's
It's relatable.
20-something-year-old from 2021. So like
It is. It is.
Yeah.
It is very relatable, and that's what I love about this. Like she has not lost herself and her personality. Like she has not succumbed to the times that she has been like deported to, literally transported over to the past. She's still her 21st century old self in a 19th century environment, and I think that's what creates the comedic timing that you are nailing here.
Yeah, I think it was Kyra who said this last week. Someone said it last week. But like her voice and like the distinction of her voice is really fun, and how you sort of parallel the way she's like seeing this world versus like the world that she's used to. It's very like candid and reads, because she's like in college, freshman, sophomore, right? Yeah. So it very much reads as someone in that age suddenly like plopped in this time period trying to figure out what is going on.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I love it. I can't wait for the book to come out.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna be so awesome. All right. Well, let's start our second and last writing sprint. 10 minutes. I'm watching the clock and go. Oh God. Do I need therapy? I feel like if this is coming out, I feel like I need to see a professional.
I mean, don't we all? But it's very Hemingway of you.
Oh, thank you so much. I mean,
Mhm.
he's one of my favorite authors, so I thoroughly appreciate that. And one of my biggest influences, actually. So is that a good thing? Is that a good thing that you can tell that my writing style resembles Hemingway?
Well, he's a classic. As long as your writing habits don't too closely resemble Hemingway's, then I think you're in the clear.
He is a classic, isn't he? Karen and I were discussing this, by the way, last week. I think not during a live stream, during one of our meetings, that sometimes she's just so surprised by what she writes, that she's such a
Mhm.
bubbly, extroverted person, and then she writes the darkest crap you can possibly imagine, like the kind of thing that Stephen King would be proud of, like The Shining meets Pennywise the Dancing Clown. I'm like,
Yeah, I know several authors like that, which is funny because I'm so not that way. Like the way I write is very similar to the way I talk and interact with other people.
right,
Unless we're getting real serious and literary, then
right,
obviously I don't talk like that every day.
right. I can't
The way
relate.
I prefer to write is from personal experience.
Right, right. I mean, I do get that, and I do relate to that. But in case of the four, like the example that you mentioned, no, I would have to go. I would have to side with Kyra. Unfortunately, like I'm very social, very bubbly, and then this thing is happening on
Mhm.
my paper, and I'm like, oh my God.
It's like a diary, right?
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. All right, folks, 2 minutes. Oh my God, Kyra has joined us. I just noticed. Hey, girl. We cannot go 1 minute without mentioning your name. We are obsessed with you, if you didn't know, by the way. And yeah, like, exactly what Kyra said. Like, this is her comment. I was rereading one of my whips, and let's just say that I'm glad I started therapy. Listen, we don't want you on the streets of New York wrecking havoc. Okay, we no. We don't need you out there in bad shape. Alrighty, pens up, hands up, and let's go. So who wants to go first? Should I just finish my depressed fest?
Do it.
Absolutely.
Okay. Actually, I think that I can read you the whole thing. Like I've had something prepared, and I just finished, and I think that this is where I'm gonna end it. So let's just read the whole thing. All right. Ooh, where have I? Oh, there we go. Sorry, I'm a little messy today. Okay. There is a hurricane in my head. No one can fathom its destructive force. Be quiet, be patient, learn to relax. You still have time, do not hurry. What a shameful collection of nonsense. Take your time. You taught me that we only had a single day. How can I huddle the scattered sandpit of my thoughts into a single day? Your teachings do not correspond with the teachings of this world. When I finally wash my face, I must admit again that you were right, as if the molecules around me slow down for a moment. The element of water seems to wash all doubts away until the moment you dry your face. Even the brain scattered moment gives me a feeling of peace. At least I know it does exist after all, and I'm simply too affected by your philosophies to let the whirlwind of emotion that is peace back into my life. I dream about the infinite universe of my possibilities. I see all of the outcomes, the various paths are on display before me, but I cannot follow any of them. I explain it by being too young and by being too near the sandpit. Do you think the sandstorm will ever wither away? The sand has got all into my folds and my whole body itches inside and outside. Finally, I sit down and start working. These days are enormously exhausting. I think the sand has caused an eye allergy. When you see a red field of hideous specks in your irises, you cannot concentrate. Above my computer, there is your photo on your 61st birthday on my wall. Do you remember? I almost do not. I cannot recall who celebrated with us and who chose to stay away because we were too messy. Maybe even Aunt Lilia was there, drinking her way through the evening, that quarrelsome, unhappy woman. This month it's been exactly a year that we have not spoken. It truly hurts me, because of you. I know you would not approve of my behavior. I know you love your daughter very much. Will you give me some more time? I will try to process those negative feelings and contact her. She thinks that I hate her. It's not true. I could never hate her. I just don't care. But I never learned how to hate no matter how much I tried. You did not teach me to grow such a feeling inside of me, and as you see, I am what you have molded me into. I will make some calls. I will call Maria, your younger daughter, a few times. If only you knew her, how kind she has become. She's the most intelligent, strongest creature on this earth. If it is true what the old gypsies down the road are saying, that one can choose one's parents, then my choice was quite impressive. I get a few brilliant ideas, then I arrange them like dominoes so the next day they can collapse by a single touch of my own clumsy finger. The evening comes, the sun sets in the early hours, such instability again. Instability and I are not good companions. In this regard, I have to agree with the immortal words of Hercule Poirot. It is not the act that bothers me, it is the disaccord. My whole life is a gigantic pendulum perfectly imbalanced. Occasionally, it sinks into the green sphere, where I can find a small glimpse of what might have been or what yet might be, but for the most part, it bumps in the red sphere, where its throat is pulled apart by a giant rope of disappointment, sorrow, and hopelessness. Where is God when I need him the most? And if he is so ever loving, why did he take you away from me? I'm only what you've made me, and now that you're not here anymore, I'm nothing. The sandstorm in my head hasn't withered, it is turning into a tornado that destroys everything. Only the strongest pillars will prevail, a porch built into the earth's core, which will not be destroyed, not even by a typhoon. But I am not a porch, Grandma. I am the sand. Done.
I really enjoyed that pendulum metaphor because as you were reading, I kept thinking exactly what Emily was saying earlier. You keep swinging back between this like hope and existential dread, and then you hit me with the pendulum metaphor, and I was just like, yes.
Thank you. Emily, what do you think?
Oh, more goosebumps.
Oh.
I liked how, again, we sort of keep, like Mackenzie said, the like warm tones with like the nostalgia at the same time. But I like the fact that this is all happening like between the simple actions of this person, like getting out of bed, washing their face, sitting down for work. Yeah. I don't know. There's just something I like about that I can't necessarily like give a name to. But I think
it's a morning routine. Yeah, it's happening during the day.
I think I think the simplicity of those actions, like mirrored with
Mhm.
like all the complex things like going on in this person's head, is really fun and really interesting to sort of like see happen simultaneously.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
that
got
inner monologue's special. This is where books are really special because, you know, in a movie, you'd just be watching a person get up, wash their face, and go sit down.
Yeah.
But what you're getting is much more behind the scenes than that.
Oh, thank you guys. You give me confidence to actually submit this. So
Oh, do it.
thank you so much. Well, who wants to go next? By the way, before we proceed, Kyra is lurking in the chat. So do not be shy. Drop your paragraph. We want to read it. So in the meantime, while Emily will be reading us her whip, please, Kyra, don't be shy. Drop it. Drop the garbage. We cannot wait. Let's go, Emily.
Okay. We're continuing immediately after what I left off with.
Yes.
I'm ready.
Yeah. Oh, so ready.
Not as many words as last time, but that's okay. There's still something on the page. Okay. She followed Teo to the front of the display case. Inside was a leather-bound book, its pages well-worn but preserved in glass. It appeared to be some kind of logbook with hand-drawn lines sectioning the page and a splattering of cursive signatures nestled between them. She read the names, or at least those she could decipher, her eyes snagging on a familiar looping script. F. Scott Fitzgerald, she said, flicking her eyes to his. I got lost trying to find some of the books the librarian wrote down for me and stumbled on this place, Teo said, rubbing the back of his neck with a scarred hand. Turns out he visited the library and signed the logbook when Zelda was in the hospital nearby. I thought you might want to see it.
Ooh. I like so you're actually bringing F. Scott Fitzgerald into the game.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you
I don't know, man. This tension. I smell tension.
I know. I listen. Like you finished the last paragraph, and I was like, "Is some kind of action going to happen?" Like in the library, and
I feel like yes.
Yes,
That's the way it reads anyway.
Yes,
we're still in the slow burn, my friends.
Oh, okay. Anyway,
they're
no, listen, we need I love their relationship. Like they have good banter, and this is probably spoilers for those who haven't read Emily's book. Like they have really good tension. Like good banter. I love that relationship.
I love their banter.
The banter is great. So like whenever you put them in a situation where it clearly reads that something is supposed to happen, and then you tell me it will not happen, that's not a payoff that I'm interested in. Like, come on.
She flicked her eyes, man. Like
she was like, oh my
it's
god,
provocative.
It is so provocative. It is so provocative.
Okay.
Totally.
All right. So more old New York grossness for our next chapter.
We love it.
We've skipped around a bit. We've got I skipped some dialogue, but we've got another descriptive moment here for you guys that I think you'll enjoy. As I stepped out of the carriage, I was affronted by yet another palette of smells, these far worse than excrement-lined streets of Midtown. The air was thick, sticky, salty, and fishy. Compounded with the summer heat, I could not help but wonder if my face would get permanently stuck in a scrunched frown. Meanwhile, Victor appeared to be having the time of his life. This man was not the man I met at the Allen. He was much happier, observant, and had a little pep in his step. This would not last long once he got into mission mode, but for now, Victor skipped ahead up the long wooden ramp to the ship. I, on the other hand, moved slowly, with no guardrails to hold on to, trying to pay no mind to the 20-foot drop between me and the clouded waves below, knowing that if I fell, this dress would drown me. This was not the internship I signed up for.
I love that.
Yes.
Oh my God. I love that. So who's Victor?
So Victor, right? He's the archivist that works at the museum that she interned with. So she and Victor end up falling through time together. Okay. And he's, in his mid 40s, whatever, and he's an archivist, and they end up falling through time together, and then
Right,
other
because
stuff happens.
that was like the way you were describing it, and I really love that because when you now gave me the context of, oh, he works at the museum, it now makes sense that he would feel like at home in the past, whereas
Yeah.
Odessa is like, like it just doesn't resonate with her as much because of
Yeah.
her youth. But now it makes sense because like the way
Exactly.
the way you described him, it was like, wait, so is this Victor like from the 19th century? Is it? And now you gave me the context. I'm like, okay, but that, oh my god, that's so skillful. I love that. Yeah.
Oh,
I see
yeah.
Kyra's dropped some words in the comments.
She has. We're gonna read it, but before that, Emily, you have some thoughts on Mackenzie's draft?
Oh, I was just gonna say, correct me if I'm wrong, Mackenzie, or if this has like changed dramatically since like we last talked about what was going on in this book, probably a while ago at this point.
Mhm.
But like, this is Odessa's like internship, but it's not for like what she's actually studying in school, right? She's not like a history major.
No, she's not.
Okay. Yeah. So then
She's
Doesn't
not.
want to give anything away, so just just move away.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she's an engineering major who ends up getting an internship at a museum. And what she does for them is a lot of like data entry stuff. So at least it's kind of like aligned, but she feels like a little bit out of place and like this thing and she's missing out on what everyone else is doing at these big oil and gas companies, whatever. So,
And then this thing happens to her, which she hates even more, basically.
Okay.
yeah.
Yes. So then my comment, knowing that was going to be, I get that feeling, like, because if it was me being plucked in this time, like, you would see more of like, yes, I would be like, what the heck is going on? But I would probably be a little bit more also aligned with like the archivist who is like, this is so cool. Like, let's look around and like appreciating like
Girl,
the
same.
happening. But like,
Me too.
I get from Odessa how you're writing Odessa, even in these just like small snippets that we're getting, that like history is not necessarily her passion.
Her thing,
So,
yeah.
like, this is more of an inconvenience to her than anything else. Which I'm interested, like, knowing that too, to see like maybe what sort, like how her character arc is going to go, and like maybe if she's going to get some more appreciation for the past from this experience.
Wait
Smart
for it.
woman.
Wait for it.
Man, you can't figure it out this soon.
Sorry.
Man, listen, you need to start bringing some other writing projects to the streams, Mackenzie.
Listen, I'm just glad that the whole point of writing this book is to teach a few important lessons, right? And I'm really glad that that's coming across so early on in the book.
That we get it. Yeah. It is.
Yeah.
It is definitely. It affirms you that what you're. Oh, I'm doing it right. People get it. So yeah, for sure. All right, let's read Kyra's first draft. Then we can take turns. I'm gonna start, and then you ladies will take over. So
Sure. Popcorn.
yes. And I remember seeing her, Edna Mans. Am I butchering the name? Kyra, correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. That venomous Jezebel. She was there with her cutting eyes and twisted smirk. For some reason, her curdled milk skin looked all the more sickly against the slinky black dress she wore, like the evil queens in Disney movies. Of course, this is
Disney reference.
Disney reference.
Has to be. All right. Emily, take it.
Somehow,
Or Mackenzie, go ahead.
Mackenzie.
I'm going now. Somehow she hovered over Zephra's bed and just maniacally laughed and laughed and laughed, beckoning Zephra to be another victim of her destruction. I watched as Edna struck a match and lit Zephra's bed on fire, the heat of the flames making Zephra writhe and shake even harder, and I could do nothing but scream.
Emily?
I screamed and did nothing as Edna took my sister away from me. I knew from the wicked look in Edna's eyes that Zephyr was gone before the blaring whirl of ambulance sirens. I was a coward then. I should have fought then somehow. Zephyr wouldn't have had another seizure if it weren't for the tragedy of losing our father. And we wouldn't have lost our father if it weren't for Edna. I watch as the flame turns the 10th piece of paper into ashes. I scoop the ashes into my mouth and rub them into my palms. It's past midnight now, and I don't want to wake up Mom. Go for it.
I swallow back my sobs and throw myself onto my bed. I've never hated anyone else more than Edna. I've never hated myself more than now. Oof, girl.
Mm.
Chills. Listen, I know the context. You know what I mean? Like, Kyra talks to me about this. So, like, I know the context. I know how heartbreaking it is. But even without the context, it is heartbreaking, isn't it? Everyone's speechless.
Yes. Quite stunned, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. Well, we have we have overstayed our welcome a little bit.
We've been enjoying ourselves.
11 minutes over, but it's just so much fun. And as Kyra indicated in the chat, which we are very grateful for, these live streams hold her accountable, and they hold us accountable.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's been so much fun. So this is all that we have for you tonight, guys. Please join us next week for another writing sprint and another surprising guest, which you will learn soon about from Emily's gorgeous Instagram posts. Yeah, so this is all we have for you now. Please consider submitting your manuscripts to us. The link is in the chat. Am I pointing in the right way? I'm not sure. It's always like the other, yeah. So
It's mirrored.
mirror, exactly. It's always very confusing. I'm a writer, so excuse me. So yeah, please consider submitting your manuscripts. We would love to read your book, and we are on the hunt for young authors who need a platform. We would be happy to give it to you. And yeah, see you next week, 6 p.m. Bye-bye.
Bye.